it was still a pretty breathtaking move to simply, wave his hand and say all of the prosecutions, years of prosecutions by the law enforcement and the Justice Department were essentially wiped away in a single moment.
Sure. The first item President Trump signed was the rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda.
President Trump has issued a swathe of executive orders, rolling back some Biden-era policies on climate and immigration and reinstating other policy priorities from his first administration. One of his orders, to end automatic citizenship for children to parents who are illegally or temporarily in the country, has been blocked by a federal judge in Seattle. Well, joining us now is Michael Shear, White House correspondent for the New York Times. Michael, thanks for giving us your time.
Sure, happy to do it.
Just in your career, Michael, have you ever seen that number of executive orders being issued in the first couple of days of a presidency?
No, it's actually been really dramatic. Most presidents try to do a few things on day one to demonstrate their commitment to moving quickly to make good on some of their promises. But we've seen now scores of executive orders, proclamations, directives to different agencies, in many cases to reverse quickly policies that President Biden had put in place, but in other cases, really pushing the boundaries of new actions, new policies that in some cases go are dramatically different than the prior position that the government was taking. So it's really something that I think, at least here in the modern times, we haven't seen.
And can you explain to us the power of an executive order? Because for us over here in the UK, perhaps it sounds like a fait accompli. Once the president signs an executive order, that's it. It's done. But that is not the case from what we understand. There are certain things that Donald Trump has written executive orders for, which actually he can't just do himself. He'll need changes to the Constitution or the allowance of Congress in order to proceed.
Yeah, it's actually it actually has there's a range of different limitations or not, depending on what it is. There are some things that the president can simply order either to be done or stopped. I mean, an example of that is the United States has had for decades a really robust refugee program that allows people around the world, not just in Mexico, but around the world, to apply to come to the United States if they're fleeing violence or persecution. Donald Trump shut that program down instantly. I mean, there were people that were waiting for flights that literally had tickets that had been approved over a very long process to come to the States. They were prevented from even getting on the planes. So that's an example where he can actually do something directly. The citizenship change that you mentioned on the top, on the other hand, is something where what the executive order essentially did was say, we in the government are going to interpret the U.S. Constitution in a particular way that assumes a less expansive use of or deploying of citizenship when babies are born in the U.S., depending on who the parents are. That's the kind of thing that the courts are quickly likely to jump in on. They did, as you said, one court already has blocked it. And then the third limitation generally is money, right? So the president ordered the the wall across the southern border of the United States with Mexico to be built, reconstructed again. That's the kind of thing that he can order, but he's going to need money from Congress, and that will take some time.
But it seems that he's been helped by declaring national emergencies, which opens up the coffers for him to be able to use that money. I just wanted to sort of bring our discussion to a close, Michael, with just what caught your eye. I mean, when I was looking at your piece in the New York Times, I was scanning through some of the executive orders. I mean, they've been so many, but one, for example, stood out for me, which was this one: grant top secret security clearances to White House staff without going through traditional vetting procedures. That seems a little risky, perhaps, to me.
It is. I mean, I think people, observers outside, are pretty shocked by it. It doesn't surprise me in a sense because, um, President Trump's view of executive authority is really expansive, and his frustration from the first term, when several of the people that he wanted to work in the White House, for example, had issues that were discovered by the FBI in their traditional background checks, and that led to public pressure that required the president to let those people go or not hire them in the first place. He's a guy that wants who he wants to be around him, and he doesn't want to be bothered by the niceties of a background check. And as we know from the document scandal that surrounded the president over the last several years, he has this sense that he alone can simply wave a magic wand and either classify or declassify something. Of course, there's rules that govern that, but he is a guy that doesn't particularly appreciate being told one way or the other
Yeah.
who or what he can have around him.
And Michael, just before you go, your most shocking executive order that you came across, what stuck out for you? Something that you thought, well, I'm surprised to see this in front of me.
Well, I'm not sure anything really surprised me, but I think the most the most stunning decision that the president made in this first week was the pardon of all, say, 1,500 plus people who had been convicted of crimes related to the assault on the Capitol on January 6th. I mean, it was, we were expecting him to do something with that. He's repeatedly called those people patriots and hostages, not convicted criminals, but it was still a pretty breathtaking move to simply wave his hand and say all of the prosecutions, years of prosecutions by the law enforcement and the Justice Department, were essentially wiped away in a single moment. And
Yeah.
it really says something about what he thought about that day, and it reflects the divisions that are still present in the country.
Michael, thank you for giving us your time. Michael Shear there, White House correspondent for the New York Times.